The crypto bull market is in full swing, and that means more opportunities for incredible gains, but also more opportunities to lose money quickly. And the big thing that differentiates people who buy the top of a token and lose their money versus people who are able to buy things early and make extreme gains is if they have a system for sourcing and finding new tokens to invest in. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a few different systems that can help you to find tokens early. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick. As a reminder, everything in crypto still requires you to do your own research, and these methods I'm going to show you today are just the start. You still have to do research and due diligence before investing in everything. And although I'm going to go through several case studies in this video, this isn't a suggestion that you invest in those specific things. Those are just that, case studies to help you learn. Now let's get into the video. To start, I want to go through the different methods we're going to use today to actually source new token ideas. The first is we're going to use on-chain metrics to find tokens, and DeFi Llama is going to be our main source for that. Next, we're going to use social media to source new tokens, and specifically, I'm going to use Twitter. And if you trade crypto, good chance you already are on Twitter in some form, because that's where a lot of news and announcements related to crypto come from. But I'm going to show you a more systematic way that you can use it to actually hone in your research and be up to speed on an ecosystem or specific category of tokens. Next, we're going to use on-chain analysis, and on-chain analysis involves tracking smart money wallets, tracking whale wallets to see what they're buying. And I'm going to show you a way to do this with a tool that is premium paid. That's ChainEdge. I don't have any affiliation with them, but it's one that I use personally. And then I'm going to show you a method that's free that involves using DEX Screener and then either DBank if you're on an Ethereum network or Step Finance if you are on Solana. And before I go any further, I want to share that these methods I'm going to show you today, these are borrowed from this course called WDeFi that I teach with my friend, the DeFi Edge. This is a 5-week intensive course designed to get you fully up to speed on everything you know to research, analyze, and manage a DeFi portfolio. It includes how to find new tokens. It includes how to analyze crypto projects as if they're businesses, tokenomics, following narratives, on-chain analysis, taking profits. Again, it's a very intense month. It's a packed calendar, basically showing you everything that you need to know. And it's for people who see the bull markets here. You want to make sure that you are ready to take full advantage of it. It includes live research sessions, live lessons, Q&A office hours, and then there's a group community to discuss the lessons as they're happening. If you're interested, check that out at go.wdefi.com, link in the description as well. All right, and so let's get into these methods. First place we're going to go is DeFi Llama. DeFi Llama is a website for fundamental analysis about cryptos, includes a ton of stats and other sorts of metrics to help you actually put some numbers to protocols or chains you're interested in rather than just basing on what people say on the internet, right? It's always better to actually have some numbers behind these things. And so the main metric that DeFi Llama has on their front page is TVL, that stands for total value locked, and that's basically deposits in DeFi protocols. And so good place to start on here is just look at what's already growing. And you know, that might seem like, okay, those protocols are already up, but really what this is showing you is which things are starting to gain momentum. And if you look at enough of these, you'll find some where the price hasn't already moved that much. And so I'll sort by 7-day change. Then the next thing I'll usually do is I'll go to TVL range and I'll set some sort of minimum TVL, because you see this first one here, it's up 400,000%, but TVL is only $150,000. So basically it went from zero. What I like to do is I'll set a minimum, say something like $10 million. And $10 million, you know, it's gotten a little bit of traction. It's not tiny anymore, but it also means that it's there, right? It's got an actual usage, and it's non-trivial if it's gaining 20, 10, $15 million. And we see here now a lot of these protocols, they're at a little more reasonable TVLs, and we can start to see some things that might be interesting. So for example, we see this one. This is a DEX on Aptos, right? Aptos, new layer 1, potentially opportunity to get in on a fast growing DEX there. Another thing I always like to do is once I click into this, I'll look at it both in terms of USD and in terms of the token whose network it's on. So you can see this is on Aptos, so we can see it in terms of USD and in terms of Aptos. And that's really important because that tells you whether there's new deposits to the protocol or if it's just that the token price went up. And then, so as I look at this, I can also add in other stats like volume, and I can see that the volume on this exchange is also increasing. And so that tells us, okay, maybe this is one that's interesting. We can also go to the chain section on DeFi Llama, and what that's going to show you is, rather than showing you the TVL breakdown by protocol, it's going to show you it by chain. So these are specific blockchains. And again, we'll sort by 7-day change. Generally, I don't usually do 1 day because that's too much volatility, but 7-day. And then what I'm looking for here is I want things where it's increasing both on the 7-day and the 1 month. And if it doesn't show it for 1 month, that means that it's new. One thing we might see here is Fractal. It has $13 million TVL. That's the new Frax Finance chain. Another one that looks interesting is Radix. Radix is a layer 1. It has a market cap of about $800 million. And as you see, the TVL has just been rocketing up over the past week. And so the first thing I would do is I'm going to add the XRD price here to see whether that's going up. And I see, yes, in fact, that is up. However, maybe isn't accounting for the full growth because this is up by, it looks like about 50%, whereas TVL has more than doubled. And so there is actually some element of more money capital entering the DeFi ecosystem here. And we can see that the DEXs in particular have been doing well. And that could be interesting, right? Because if you think that this Radix DeFi ecosystem is going to take off, then the DEXs would probably be good performers. And so then you have something like Caviar 9 and DeFi Plaza. I am seeing these protocols for the first time now as I'm doing the video. But you would see something like Caviar 9 and you would say, okay, the TVL is going up. It's on a fast growing layer 1. Maybe this could be something that's interesting. Maybe it's something you could research and build some conviction in. And there's a ton of other pages on DeFi Llama that are useful, but the one that I want to highlight is this Raises tab over here. And what this is going to show you is this is going to show you different projects that recently raised money and who invested in them. And there's definitely negatives to projects that have huge amounts of VC funding, especially if they're launching at a very high valuation. But keep in mind, what you can do here is, this is just to find projects, right? You still have to do the research and figure out if the valuation is hugely inflated, because there are definitely some in here that they raise VC funds and then they're not trading at that much of a premium to the original investment. So you can kind of get in at the same price. And basically what you're doing here, if you find something that has good investors, is you are finding something that either A, was already pre-vetted, because these investors are going to be able to ask questions that you as an individual probably cannot ask, right? If the team is anonymous, oftentimes they have to dox to these institutional or even crypto native fund investors. And second, what you're going to see is there's some investors like Coinbase who they can offer other things that would be good for the project, right? You think that a project that Coinbase is investing in is probably more likely to get a Coinbase listing? I do, right? Project that Binance is investing in is more likely to get a Binance listing? Probably. And so what I would do here is I would go through, I would find some investors who have a good track record, for example, Coinbase Ventures, and then I'm going to search investors and I'm going to see who Coinbase Ventures is investing in. And we see, for example, they invested in this protocol called Stack. They invested in Witness, Architect, Clusters, Portal, Polymer Labs, Rio Network, Wormhole, etc. And then I would go down the list, and all of these could be a good starting place to figure out whether these protocols are at a good valuation compared to when the VCs got in. The next strategy we're going to use to find new crypto gems is going to be social media, and specifically it's going to be Twitter, although you could apply some of these strategies to other platforms as well. And why Twitter? Well, to put it simply, Twitter is where most of the action happens in crypto. It's where most new projects launch and publicize themselves. And so we're going to use Twitter. And specifically, we are going to use Twitter lists. And here's why we're going to use Twitter lists. If you have a Twitter account, you go to your homepage, it's going to be full of all kinds of stuff. Some of it good, a lot of it bad, and a lot of it not very relevant. And what we want to do is we want to have Twitter lists where we curate them for a specific topic. We vet the accounts that we're putting on there, and then we continuously refine the list over time to have accounts that have a history of providing good, useful information, and ideally of providing new small tokens. And here's one I quickly put together for Solana. So this isn't fully optimized over a long period of time. But basically what you do is you go to lists, you click on this plus button here, you give it a name like Dynamo DeFi's list. Let's say Dynamo DeFi's alpha list. I'll make it private. We'll go next. And then what you want to do is you want to start adding people that would be relevant to this specific topic that you want to find projects in. And so, for example, say we wanted to make a list about the Avalanche ecosystem. Then we'll go back to Solana in a second. We might add Goon, the founder, right? We might add Luigi, the head of Avalanche DeFi, who I've interviewed on this channel. And then you would go through and you might add some projects, right? We might add Fish, the founder of Trader Joe, one of the largest platforms. And so then we can go back to the list, and here we can start to see some interesting posts about Avalanche. And I know I called this Dynamo DeFi's alpha list. It's really Dynamo DeFi's Avalanche list. But then what I would start to do after I added some of these major people is I would go through and I would find some smaller content creators who were specialized in this particular niche, add them to the list, and then you would start to see that there would be some information about newer projects on there. And so, for example, if I go back to this Solana list and look through it, then you'll start to see some interesting protocols or information on here that could give you a hint about new launches in the Solana ecosystem. So, for example, I see this person here posted about some happenings on Solana. I see that there's something called an Anza Agave fork that has some logistics openings happening. And I see that Solana Labs has a new incubator cohort, right? That could be a great way to find some new projects. And I see here that they have announced these 6 projects in their incubator. So right now I'm already finding 6 new projects in the Solana ecosystem. Love the Solana ecosystem. And I'm finding these projects which are probably pre-launch, and then I could start to follow them. Maybe I want to follow their accounts, bookmark their tweets, join their Discord, Telegram, start to really do my due diligence and figure out whether there's any way to get into these projects early or when they're launching and how I can get in at launch. And so now, rather than just being a passive viewer on Twitter, we're actually making Twitter work for us, and we're using it to find some projects that haven't launched yet that we could potentially be early on. And then the final tactic that we're going to use today involves on-chain analysis. On-chain analysis basically involves using the fact that blockchain information is totally public to track what other people are buying. And one service I like to use is ChainEdge. Again, no affiliation at all. It is paid, but what they do is they follow the top 0.01% of DEX traders and track which tokens those people are buying. So they've already calculated these people are among the best traders, and they look at what they have inflows to. And here on the front page of ChainEdge, we can see which tokens have net inflows from these top wallets. And for example, over the past 24 hours, we see some to this Shuffle token, we see inflows to Floki, 0x0, IAI, ERN, Maker, etc. They also recently launched their Solana versions. And so here you can see on Solana over the past 6 hours, there have been inflows to this BOEM token, Popcat, this $NAP, and then others. And basically what this is showing you is of all these top 0.01% wallets they track, are they net buying or are they net selling a token? And you can see there's also tokens they are selling. And then you might dive in deeper, for example, to see which tokens people are buying over the past 7 days, past 30 days, so on and so forth. And for example, you can dive in deeper to actually look at which tokens people net bought over the past 7 days, past 30 days, and so on and so forth. And we can see, for example, that over the past 30 days, this WIN token had huge accumulation by the smart money wallets, net $12 million, and 132 of them actually interacted with this token. But maybe some of you don't want to or can't afford the money for a service like ChainEdge. That's totally fine. We're going to go through some free tools as well. And so one place to start if you want to use free tools is DEX Screener. This is going to show you a ton of trending tokens across decentralized exchanges. And what we're going to do is we are going to look at trending tokens and we're going to figure out who bought them early. And for example, if we look at ones that are up the most over the past 24 hours, There's a lot. We could start at the top, but one that looks interesting to me is this Popcat token, because remember we saw that in ChainEdge. But if you didn't know it was on ChainEdge, you might also find it eventually, because you would see that it has a decent fully diluted valuation, unlike a lot of these other tokens here, right? It's already at $289 million and is up a lot. And so what we want to do is we want to go to Popcat now, and we want to say, okay, who was buying this thing way back here? Because that is someone I want to figure out what they're buying today. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to toggle this thing on the bottom from transactions, let me zoom in a little, over to top traders. And what this is going to do is this is going to show us the people who made the most money on this token. We can see this one here sold $1.3 million. Looks like they didn't buy it, so that's not really relevant. This one bought 3.6 million, sold it for 4.7 million. Very nice trade, but they were already working with a lot of size. This one bought 125K, sold for 755.6K. Also quite good. Let's see, I'm going to go with this one here. They bought 125, turned it into 758. I would love to do that, right? And so what we can do here is we can click on this button to expand the transaction into SolScan. And now we see this account, this person had bought these tokens. So let's copy the account information and let's go over here to Step Finance and let's see what else this person is holding. They have $3 million, still have a lot of Popcat. They have Bowden, they have Bingus, they have WIF, they have AABL, they have Omni. And then again, I might use this as a starting point to say, okay, this is someone who we know made a really good trade. Which of these assets did they buy recently? And is that something that might be worth looking into for ourselves? And the cool thing about this is that this works both for super legit DeFi projects like this, also works for these fun meme coins, right? It's totally agnostic. And if you were looking for tokens that weren't on Solana, you could use a service like DBank to track the holder wallets for that token. And so hopefully you guys found these methods helpful. Again, if you want to learn more, we have this Double Your DeFi course coming up in April 2024. Website go.doubleyourdefi.com. Very intensive, 5 weeks, but it's going to get you fully up to speed on being self-sufficient with crypto research and helping you develop systems to take full advantage of the bull market. And for more videos like this one, be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.